Hello, this is Dr. Sayyid Ali Hassan, and I'm working as a professor at the NUST School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. That basically, gives information and degrees in different fields of electrical engineering, software engineering, and computer science. I basically had my undergraduate from the same university, which is like NUST. I graduated from the College of Electrical and Mechanical Engineering, or USME. I was like more intended towards communications and signal processing at that time. Then I shifted to Germany. I had my master's degree again in communications and wireless communications and signal processing. वहाँ से I moved to US to the Georgia Institute of Technology, which is commonly known as Georgia Tech. And I had my PhD degree in electrical engineering, and of course, साथ में I also had a master's of mathematics because the areas are very overlapping और उसमें आपको बहुत ज़्यादा help चाहिए होती है analytical modeling की. उसके बाद I went to Cisco Systems in California now for about 2 years, and I spent time over there as a research associate. And Cisco, of course, is all of you know, is a well-known company in wireless communications and networks. So I was also involved in designing the future generation of wireless routers, which basically we see on around here and there in our homes at the moment and in the different companies. So uske baad, doing that, I just came back to Pakistan and joined NUST as an assistant professor at that time, the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. Of course, in my areas of research, from the very beginning, were again from the wireless communications area and the signal processing for wireless communications, wireless networks, or unse related jitni bhi fields hoti hain. So I've been working over the past like 12, 13 years in this area. And now I'm a full professor. Also, I'm heading a lab which is actually known as Information Processing and Transmissions Lab, IPT. और उसके अंदर we have the students all the way from undergraduate level to graduate level, a PhD level, which are working on different areas and different projects of wireless communications and signal processing. Apart from that, I'm also working as a chief technology officer of a company in which we are also giving solutions to the industry businesses about telecommunication networks, more specifically towards the 5G and 6G eras that we would be going to see in the next 5-10 years. Now, maybe we're working mainly again on creating an environment where we can impart education and services from the machine learning perspective, the AI aura, and of course an amalgamation of these technologies of machine learning, wireless communications, AI, and signal processing. Okay, so when the students are basically aspiring for choosing a career in engineering, I would specifically focus on engineering, right? So at the level of when they're in FSC or A levels, around that level, so there is always a confusion of what exactly to choose from, and because there is a multitude of fields, a plethora of areas in which they can go, starting from engineering, medical, biomedical, management, and all of the stuff. However, if they choose engineering, right, because like they have a passion, for example, to design and build something which is basically for the humanity, for the betterment of humanity and culture and society in general. So usme bhi again there are very many fields. For example, they can always choose electrical engineering versus mechanical engineering versus computer software engineering, or let's say mechatronics engineering and chemical engineering, and you just name all those fields, right? If I just talk about why exactly they should be, for example, moving towards electrical engineering, and this wireless communications is actually a subcategory of electrical engineering. So इसमें होता है कि there is a huge word that we call as a word of wireless, जिसमें आप you study very fascinating subjects such as कि आपके signals propagate कैसे करते हैं, when you let's say call your friend on a phone, let's say, और आपका दोस्त जो है, he or she is basically on the other side of the cell phone. So how does this communication work? So इस पूरी communication को करने के लिए there is actually a lot of courses that you have to take, right? However, an aspiring field that I would of course recommend to the students who are really aspiring to basically come and see this world of wireless would be to go beyond, for example, what they're thinking right now, and just to have more knowledge on the wireless aspects. And now if we just talk about, let's say, okay, what kind of skills do you need, in order to, for example, get into this area? So I would say there are like two fundamental skills that a student should be needing, in order to get to these areas. So first of all, he or she should be really interested in mathematics, because mathematics is the core of engineering, right? You cannot do any engineering without mathematics. So of course, when you are at FSC level, when you are at an A level kind of, scope, तो आप ने basic differential equations or integrations or linear algebra को पढ़ा होता है, and these are the fundamentals. I mean, we don't have कोई out of the word, out of the box चीज़ हमारे पास आ रही है. We just have, all of these concepts. We just take them to a higher level, an advanced level in engineering, especially when you're talking about wireless communications and communication systems in general. और इसको हम आगे लेके चलते हैं. So you should be the students, who are basically aspiring for getting in an area of wireless communications or communications in general should be, looking towards mathematics as their first major. उसके बाद, the second thing that I would of course suggest to the students, who are aspiring this career is actually for having a good knowledge of programming. क्योंकि आज के, there is always a convergence. आप देख रहे हैं कि, everything is moving towards software. Let's say if I just give an example, तो आज से 10, 15, 20 साल पहले हमारे पास जो radios होते थे, they were really hardware radios, right? But now we have SDRs, which are software defined radios. You can control, for example, a hardware radio by using a software. And of course, when you're using a software, you need to polish your programming skills in order to, to use it. So similarly, if you're using, technologies like machine learning or artificial intelligence into your systems, into your research, for example, or your studies, then you also need to have, a very, very polished kind of programming skills. So that's what we look into the students, that they should have these two fundamental skills before they apply for a career or go for a career in wireless communications. So talking about, the job markets. So there is a plenty of job market right out, if you are an expert, let's say, or you have an undergraduate degree in wireless communications, electrical engineering with the category of wireless communications or signal processing. So for example, if I just talk locally about in Pakistan, you can go anywhere in the telcos, so for example, all these Zongs and, Uphones and all those other companies like Niatel, Pakistan Telecommunication Authority, and then we have a lot of companies from the defense side as well who are working in communications area. So ये सारी की सारी चीज़ें जो हैं, they lead you to basically have a very, very fruitful career in wireless communications indigenously in Pakistan. As far as you look outside, for example, if you just happen to get a job in let's say US or for example any other Western country or Eastern country and anywhere around the globe, so बहुत सारी companies हैं, for example, you just name it, Google, Microsoft, they all have their wireless, kind of, I would say, areas in their company. So for example, if you just think of Intel, तो लगता है कि Intel is basically a hardware company, right? However, there is a whole, section of wireless communications in Intel where they, research on next generation systems, and also जो research चल रही है कि आप chip to chip communications, for example, कैसे करेंगे, like आजकल के point of view से. So there is a huge lot of, like job market that's out there basically for the wireless communications area. Similarly, if you just go or try to restrict yourself to the academic side, आप lab engineers बनते हैं, आप lecturers बनते हैं, तो उसमें भी there's a huge lot of research potential that you can of course explore in order to get fundings, from different funding agencies which are related to telecommunications, and of course impart them to the students that you would be teaching if you try to aspire from the faculty point of view. So basically, if you want to pursue higher studies, in the same area, which I'm trying to say, like the 5G networks or, the 6G networks or Internet of Things, you just name all of these fancy words, and there are like hundreds of courses out there, hundreds of degrees out there in the entire universe that you can just go and explore. So once you are done with the undergraduate in electrical engineering or, software engineering, or let's say, for example, computer engineering. So all of these fields, have flavors of communications, telecommunications, wireless communications, AI and ML that you can converge together in order to form an area which is like most suitable for you to excel. So जब आप in areas में से किसी एक में you are done with your undergraduate degree, so there is a lot of work that you can do for your higher studies, let's say as far as your MS is concerned or as far as your PhD is concerned. बहुत सारी universities, I would say like all of the good universities out there, they offer programs in at the master's level, in the undergraduate, I mean at the PhD level as well, in which they give you fundings. You can secure good research fundings from there. Just go there, see and explore what exactly they are doing, and they have kind of funded projects from the industry. So for example, if I talk about Europe, so the big vendors or big giants such as Ericsson and Nokia do always give funding to the universities to hire good students at the master's and PhD level. You go there, do research, for example, for them, getting your degree, and actually you're solving a problem of the industry. So it's basically these two things go hand in hand, that you basically try to solve a problem which is industry related and earning a degree for yourself, which is a master's or a PhD. So nowadays, like one of the booms that we are actually looking around us is the artificial intelligence or the machine learning, right? And what we are basically looking at is that we are going to use this technology in almost every field. I mean, be it medical sciences, be it engineering sciences, be it management, for example, and or even literature or arts as well. So what we are actually going to see, for example, if you talk about the amalgamation of the artificial intelligence or machine learning with telecom networks is the visualization of the next generation networks, which we call as 6G these days, right? Because we are living in the 5th generation era at the moment. And what we are basically moving towards or looking forward is the 6th generation of networks, in which we would be seeing or watching a heavy, induction of this machine learning algorithms or the artificial intelligence space on designing of these networks, which are very smart, and they would of course be beneficial not from an industry perspective but also from the user perspective in both senses. So therefore, there is a lot of research which is, and a very exciting kind of research which is going on, in these areas where they're combining, the concepts or applying the concepts of machine learning onto, for example, the networks of tomorrow, which we are going to see by 2030 and onwards. So the people, for example, who are again from machine learning background, they can always have an area or application of wireless communications where they can work on. So you just get the model, which is wireless com model, and you apply, the algorithms of the machine learning to get that model working in an efficient manner. So for example, there are words which are being coined these days, like self-organizing network. So basically you don't have to go yourself and organize the network, So the machine learning is basically going to take care of all the bad things for you, and you are going to get a network which is, working very efficiently, more efficiently than, for example, the systems of today. So that's why we are going to see a boom, of these AI algorithms. So if you are really aspiring to have an AI career, so don't just let the AI career to be stand alone. You can always apply, that AI thing or machine learning thing or, other kinds of artificial intelligence algorithms onto, the networks, and you can make, wonders out of it by having this combination working together. Okay, so I think we had like lots of discussions on mostly about wireless communications and telecommunications in general. Because I think if I just let the students to think more about out of the box. So आजकल बहुत सारे areas हैं in which you can just go and study things, for example, in Excel. So उसमें जो सबसे important चीज़ होती है वही होती है कि अपने अंदर का जो डर है आपको वो निकालना पड़ेगा. You have to basically kill the fear out of you in order to just get the main things जो आपके अंदर की जो चीज़ें हैं, जो आपकी expertise हैं, जो आपकी skills हैं, वो they should come out. उसके लिए आपने क्या करना है, of course, कि again I won't just ask you to, let's say for example, just stick to one area, keep all your options open, और उसके अंदर जितने भी areas हैं जिसमें आपको लगता है कि you can excel, you can polish your skills more, or whatever skills you have, आप उन skills को use कर सकते हैं in order to give to that area. So that would be it. And in that case, I would really suggest, for example, the students to visit universities, वो जाएं देखें वहाँ की labs को देखें. Even if you're an FSC student or an A-level student, I think the universities are always open to welcome students at your age, ताकि आप जाएं देखें कि किस किस्म की labs हैं, वहाँ क्या काम हो रहा है, and then you basically get more knowledge about different fields जो कि आपको help out करेगी in order to choose a career which could be better for you. So at the end, I would just recommend all of you to just explore things, come out of yourself, and just be the man, to just go into the public and see what basically is there for the humanity, and just do whatever you can. Thank you so much.